to steam up my lens for me? Yep.
Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Kat or Catherine and I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. This is my little space on the internet where I have documented my knitting journey from day one through to now, using the lovely YouTube as a platform to connect with other knitters and makers. So at the front of this episode I would just like to say a big thank you from honestly the bottom of my heart. Numbers aren't that important, not to me, but behind every number is a real human being here. And so far I've been greeted with nothing but kindness and kind souls. And there's over 3,000 of you that have come along with me on my journey. And I just think that that is quite amazing. I mean, I couldn't imagine sitting and talking to 3,000 people, let alone feel like I've been welcomed into 3,000 people's different homes and living rooms. So honestly, thank you so much. This platform and this way of connecting has allowed me to do quite a few things that I otherwise wouldn't know about or have been able to do. And that is very cool. So thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. So thank you for being here, whether you're new or you've been here for quite a while. I really appreciate it, and I've really enjoyed reading all of the lovely comments of what people are knitting on the last few weeks. So thank you for, sharing, because it is exciting to, learn about new yarns and hear how people are coping and sharing and it's just wonderful. So thank you very much. And second of all, this is a bit of a different episode. I was thinking about getting on with some knitting while I chatted, but instead I must say, Natalia, your bag has come with me yet again, and I just love it. Nat Knit Crafts, this was her first ever bag, and it brings me so much joy. I can feel it. Feel the joy and the love that was put into this bag, and in return it has been greeted with much joy and seen much love. But I decided that I would just grab a cup of, this isn't really tea, this is a tisane, it's strawberry and raspberry if I remember, and I think that's what my lovely host has been drinking all week. So you might have guessed from the name of this episode and from maybe some Instagram footage if you've been taking part in that, but I am surrounded by mohair goats at the moment, and that is one of the most exciting things that could possibly happen. Gonna have to pause it here. I have a house guest coming back. So my lovely friend is back and might jump in the shower, which hopefully you won't be able to hear, but I do have a microphone with a fun little hedgehog muffler thing on top, so hopefully it'll be fine. But yes, I think I was just saying a big thank you for being here, because I do really appreciate it. And then introducing mohair. And if you're new here, you might not know how much I love mohair, and I'm not sure why. Now I know why I love it, but I didn't initially know why I loved it. I just had a massive draw to it. There's something about rustic yarns that I love. Raw work being one in particular, that brings me plenty of joy to talk about. Again, that's a yarn producer who I've met, the owner of the company, and had a good chat about how she sources it, and it's really fascinating, and I won't go on about it, but I do recommend having a little look at raw work yarns. Christine is amazing, and her fleece is amazing, and the yarn is so gorgeous to work with. But mohair, it's super soft and fluffy. If you don't know, it's really fuzzy. I'm actually wearing 2 items of mohair. Maybe I'll sneak up close and you'll be able to see it often has this, are you gonna come? Yeah, it has a halo, so it has this glow to it. Back in the 80s, if you were there or if you weren't, you might know it was quite a fashionable thing, mohair jumpers. And I think I've always had a love of things that are slightly older and sometimes slightly, I don't know, I don't agree, but sometimes it was referred to as ugly by my family, you know, ugly knitwear, and I really liked it. And I actually discovered it through a charity shop jumper, and I was like, oh, mohair. And then I realised I could buy it myself and used it for crocheting necklaces, which is bizarre, but I did, little snowflake ones. And then that carried through to knitting. I discovered that you could knit garments with it, and you can hold it single and have quite a sheer, fluffy, very, very light garment that is still incredibly warm. I still get away with wearing my mohair in the summer as well as the winter, and it's great for layering in the winter. Or you can hold it double with another yarn, like these do, and again creates a dense, warm fabric. It is very warm. Some people are a little bit, you know, more adverse to it. Some people don't like it as much as others, and that's cool. Some people prefer alpaca. I would say I don't really like a brushed alpaca, so suri, that sort of fluffy one, as much as a well spun alpaca. That's something that I've learnt. But anyway, mohair. And this sort of mohair, where it's allowed to be a bit more free, spun with silk, is really nice, and as you'll see, I'm wearing a lot of it. I love it, but actually you'll be able to see probably it does molt quite a lot, a bit like having a husky. I find it in my eyelashes every now and then, and I'm every now and then plucking it out of Alex's beard. Alex is my partner. I love you, darling, if you're watching. It's nice to see you even when we're not together. And yeah, so that's how I really discovered mohair. And for quite a while I wasn't aware that it's a goat, not a sheep. Mohair goats are also angora goats, like very similar to angora bunnies, but they look very different. Angora bunnies are a bit ridiculous, a big fuzzy thing, whereas mohair goats, I'll pop in a picture, hopefully I'll remember. They've got like little curls, and they're gorgeous. They really are. And so when I went to a yarn show with Alex, actually I think it was his idea. It was to go and visit some friends and go to a yarn festival. I met the lovely Alice of Whistlebare, and my partner met Tess. Tess is the only, I believe, member of staff for Whistlebare. Alice is the owner. She looks after the goats herself and the sheep. They have a few sheep here, a few breeds. They've got plenty of sheep here. And we had a good old chat, and I really was taken back by Alice's level of care for the environment, her animals in particular, and then each individual skein. The yarn itself is almost entirely produced on her land. There will be, I think in the future, a breed that she's purchasing from a friend for a new yarn. Don't hold me to that. That is something that I think is happening. But she rears them herself, raises them, looks after them, shears them, and then hand dyes the skeins. And it is a bit different. I've had 2 skeins for quite some time. I've knitted with them and then taken them apart. So one of them is the same as the yarn that I'll show you, and I will show you now because it makes sense too, which is called Yevering Bell, which is 80% Wensleydale and 80% mohair and 20% Wensleydale, I should say. And doesn't want to recognise my face. Hi friend, are you gonna remember me? Yeah. There we go. And the other one is called Cuthbert Sock, which is the same base but just twisted a lot more, and that is for a sock yarn. You get slightly more weight, so you get about 120 grams I think, for perfect 300 meters you need for a sock, a pair of socks. The yarn itself, I'll show you, has a gorgeous luster, but it lasts a long time. It doesn't let go of the fibre like this does, and because it's so fine and so soft, bacteria can't stick to it. So if you or a family member that you enjoy knitting for has some wellies and things that maybe provide a little bit of a scent, that will totally mitigate it in theory and in practice. So that is one very good use for said yarn. But I've actually got some in this cute little, I love their logo, but I have some here which is for the help that I've provided this week, which is very, very kind. There we go. So this Ring Bell, it's the Aran weight, and you can see it has a halo. It also, I think you're going to have to come back here. Why are you doing this to me? There we go. So it has a halo, and it almost looks like there's a load of silk or yak in it, but that is the mohair and the Wensleydale doing its thing. This colourway is called Solitude, and I am going to put this into a very special project very soon. But that is the yarn and how it's a little bit different to a mohair that a lot of us would be used to. Alice does offer another base. This is why we're here. We're talking about the mohair. So while I was at the show, I had a good old chat with Alice. I gave her one of my silly bags with my mohair on it, and Alex was having a good old chat with Tess, and after it we stayed in touch, and I had got really excited that we had organised for myself to come and help with the goat shearing in April, but we all know what happened, we won't talk about it. So that got cancelled, and I was a bit upset, but I really don't want to put anyone out, I don't want to put anyone at risk, etc, etc. We don't need to talk about this, I don't think. We all know that we're all doing our best. But when we got in touch, when we were chatting again, and we realised that we could do this safely, and it does make the workload a lot easier on Alice, as well as, you know, family and continuing things working, so Tess doesn't have to jump out and wrangle goats. Came up to Northumberland and have been here helping. The goats get sheared twice a year, and the way Alice does every single one herself, and has developed a way of doing it which is a lot less stressful on the goats, that compares anyway to the way that most sheep shearers would have done it for her if they were to do it for her. So she's made a stand herself. She has someone to help support the goats while they're on the stand, and that mitigates almost all risk of cutting. It reduces a lot of stress on the sheep. It's because I'm looking at sheep. There's sheep right in front of me. And because they are sheared twice a year, once a year they will be in kid, at least some of the females. So it is even more so important to protect them and to reduce that stress. And furthermore, they're just lovely animals. They would not do well under stress. They are very gentle, which we discovered. They're very curious, incredibly sociable. They will chat to each other if they're not in the same pen. And they will also sleep and sit and hang out in their different families, which is incredibly cute. But yeah, there's a few goats that I would like to highlight, I think. One of them being, okay, she's probably my favourite, don't play favourites, but Isadora. Isadora's, if she was not being given to a new home, I would have put my hands up in the air and begged to take her home, but she is going to a new home with only 4 other goats where she can get a little bit more attention because she is a bit of a silly one. She walks into things, she bumps her head, she's just needs a little bit more care than having a flock of over 100 goats would allow. So she's lovely, and I'll pop in a picture here, and if you stick around there'll be plenty of video of her after me chatting about it. The other one is Daffy, who was one of the first goats we sheared, and just one of the most affectionate animals I've ever met. Kept coming up, waddling up and climbing over the fence and the gate, giving a good old nuzzle. So you'll see her too. And the other one that I didn't get much footage of is Hubble. He was the biggest boy, and he has these amazing horns, which you will spot him if you stick around. But he was just huge and lovely, and he was born the year that the Hubble telescope went up, hence the name, which I thought was pretty cool. So that's kind of all. The only other thing I could add is that just by being here, it's made me love the yarn even more, and has made me even more curious and more adamant that moving forward I want to learn more, I want to talk to more producers, more farmers, and really get a better understanding of our little community. I know it would be lovely to be able to research every single part of how we live our lives, but if I can do my part in, you know, the world that I'm most in love with and learn within it, and do better by the animals, by the planet, by one another, hopefully I can share that, and in return others can teach me. So if there are yarns that you love, I know that there's many brow work, hooligan yarns, like producers that are doing it in a way that's really, you know, heartfelt and the best that can possibly be done within their means, then do share them, talk about it. I'd love to know. Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about this. Is very special. I know that I'm going to get tenfold more joy knitting with this yarn than I might have done with a drops yarn previously, etc. But I also have to live with my means, and so does everyone else, which I totally understand, which is why I want to also do more research on the affordable basis. I know that Whistlebare is in the upper remit, but again, that's because everything's done by 2 people, Alice on her own, dealing with the animals. It's obviously she's got the support family, but it's her predominantly. So it is at a higher price point, but I'd much prefer to purchase something like this one-off that will outsee me. It will live its life longer than I will live, than keep adding to the problem. So that's something that I'm wanting to learn about, but also seeing if we can find more affordable yarns that are trying to do this too. So that's where I'm at with this a little bit. And all that's to say really, other than that, is Alice does have a gorgeous studio which is open to visitors. Check the website, which I'll pop in the description box, and obviously do check the Instagram if you are an Instagram user. Daily doses of mohair goats is something that can only possibly bring joy, I'm sure of it. But the studio has just been updated during lockdown, just before lockdown I believe, in preparation for a wonderful summer, but there you have it. It is gorgeous, there's a stove in there, it's just a lovely space. That footage will be at the very end too. So if you can get here, I really hope you visit and enjoy the space as much as I have. If you can't, I hope that through just documenting it and sharing it, you will be able to experience it too, and maybe inspired to find what you have more local to you. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and let you get to the goats, because they are so gorgeous, so much fun, and they must be shared. The last thing I'll say is, don't forget to tell the people you love them. Don't forget to look after yourself. If you ever need a chat, we have a lovely Discord group, which is welcome to be there just to be watched as opposed to be a part of. If you're a bit nervous, get used to how people talk, communicate. I know that I can be very apprehensive about being in groups of people, but it's a lovely space if you need knitting friends, if you need help with anything. We've got a lot of experience within the group now. Yeah, everyone's welcome, but that's just to say, if you need company, there's definitely company out there. No one should ever feel alone, especially at this strange transition point in the world. I hope you get a bit of time for knitting. I hope you really enjoy the goats as much as I did, and I hope to see you again very soon.
sweetheart. Oh, you just want love. You want love this morning. You silly sausage. Must be delicious. Are you going to steam up my lens for me? Yep. You excited, girls? Oh, hey, sweetie